Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always. And folks, yet again, we have another incredible guest on the show who might also crack the top 5 best guests ever on the show in regards to how well they are dressed. Ben is coming in with one of the swankiest and craziest outfits we've ever seen. We love to see it. He is one of the pioneers of the one and only AI, the thing that is taking over our world right now. Ben Goertzel is a highly influential figure in the fields of AI, robotics, and computational finance. He has done a little bit of everything, a Ph.D. in mathematics from Temple University. Also leads SingularityNET Foundation, the enterprise AI firm TrueAGI, the OpenCog Foundation, you name it, he's done it. Has also served as chairman and done tons of stuff with Hanson Robotics, BioMind, Rejuve, Mindplex, you name it. Was also one of the co-founders and principal architects of OpenCog, an open source software project aimed at directly constructing AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is very, very crazy and might take over our world. Very grateful and honored to have one of the AI goats on the pod today. Ben, welcome to the show, my friend. Super pumped to have you. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, great to be on the show. Plenty to talk about.
You got it. Let's jump right into it. Present day AI. This episode is airing towards the end of August 2024. 2 years ago, we really, in my opinion, we had the first sort of consumer-facing mass AI product, and that was, of course, ChatGPT really kicked off. I remember the first days of using it. It was euphoric. And then, of course, you have DALL-E that comes around. You have Stable Diffusion with Midjourney. So much fun in the early days. Still a lot of fun, but it is absolute banana lands. Ben, what is going on with the present day of AI? Can you give us a little synopsis / summary before we get going?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a different view from those of us who've been involved in building AI and working with AI for a long time, and then through the average end user. Because from my own view, it's been a pretty continuous growth and progress since I wrote my first AI code around, would have been 1979 or 80 when I was a teenager. And then
that's when you wrote your first AI code?
Yeah, trying to make AI-powered games on the Atari 400 computer coded in basic and assembly language. And, interestingly, the main ideas behind the AI field now were already there in the 60s and 70s. And the main thing that was missing was just scale of compute and scale of data to feed into the AIs, and then, cameras and robot arms and all the sensors and actuators and stuff. But the core ideas we have in AI now, including many that aren't yet rolled out in large-scale commercial systems. I mean, these have been around sometimes since before I was born, many cases since my youth, right? So, it's not to say that all is needed is scale. Like, there's a lot of thinking that you do once you've scaled something up, then you can tinker with it, right? But I guess from my view, it's been a period going on like my whole adult life of making AI algorithms more and more powerful and popular. And starting through the 90s into the early aughts, you saw AI rolled out on the back end of many, many different projects. Like, AI started to dominate Wall Street a long time ago, right? And AI has been able to diagnose diseases better than human doctors for quite a long time. Not in every case, but in a whole lot. You've had robots doing complex surgeries for a long time. So what happened a couple of years ago with ChatGPT and other LLMs, certainly it was a big thing. I don't want to minimize it. It was big in terms of new functions being achieved that hadn't been achieved before. Like, for the first time, you had human-like conversation behind an AI bot. And it was huge in terms of just public awareness. Like, for the first time, average people were coming up to me like, whoa, is the singularity already here? Do you already have AI smarter than me? Like, this is incredible. And I hadn't seen that before ChatGPT, and then, Llama and all the open source models that followed on it. So I could see like the dramatic change in terms of public accessibility of smart AI, but really the underlying tech has been growing quite continuously for a long time. And I think that evolution continues, right? Like ChatGPT and other LLMs are neither the beginning of AI, nor are they necessarily the end. Like I think there's a bunch of other AI tech evolution to come, which is good, right? Because these AI systems are amazing, but they're also very limited in some ways, and they're largely controlled by a few big tech companies, right?
Bingo.
So I think there's the opportunity for the next wave of AI innovation to not be dominated by a few big tech companies, but to grow within the decentralized ecosystem. One of the fun things to talk about here in this sort of crypto ecosystem podcast.
Hey, I love that you just teed that off for me and absolutely gave me a beautiful layup. Let's jump right into it. You guys, I mean, you're a part of this new sort of superintelligence force, if you will, called the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. Now, we were fortunate to have Humayun on the podcast as well from Fetch.ai. You guys merged and formed the Artificial Superintelligence, which was Ocean Protocol, Fetch, and SingularityNET, three of the most prominent, if not the three most prominent, AI companies in the crypto sphere.
Yeah.
Was this a no-brainer from the get-go? Did you guys always have plans of merge? Like, tell me the reason behind the merge and the creation of ASI Coin.
Yeah, first of all, about the name ASI and ASI Alliance. So that concept of superintelligence has been around a while. We've been thinking about multiple stages in the emergence of AI. You have plain old AI, which is often called narrow AI, which is like AI that does some very particular things. And in a way, ChatGPT is still narrow because it can't go very far beyond its training data. Now, what's confusing and exciting is its training data is like the whole fucking web, right? So you can step this a little bit beyond your training data and still do amazing things. But in a sense, its scope of invention or innovation is narrow. It's not very much beyond what it's given, right? And an AGI, an artificial general intelligence, which is the thing I spent a lot of my research career on, is an AI that can make big leaps beyond its programming. You go beyond its training, right? And that's AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's what underlay the AGIX token that we had for SingularityNET and the AGI research conference we had last week here in Seattle, which I've run every year since 2006. But then what goes beyond an AGI is an AI that can reprogram its own brain at will and achieves levels of creativity, generalization, reasoning way, way beyond the human level, right? And so humans have more general intelligence than ChatGPT or any other AI system today. But a superintelligence, an ASI, would go far, far beyond the human level. And the way things seem likely to evolve is humans build the first AGI, then the first AGI builds the second AGI, and it moves on towards superintelligence, right? And so that's what underlay the name Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, which we chose for the merger of the SingularityNET, Fetch.ai, and Ocean Protocol decentralized AI projects. Now, the notion of the merger, it had been bouncing around in conversations in a vague way for a long time. I mean, I've known Trent McConaughey, the key technical founder of Ocean, since I don't know when, 2012, 13 or something, like before either of us got into crypto in a really serious way. So we knew each other through our mutual work on AI. It was clear that Ocean and SingularityNET had a lot of technical overlap. Like they were focusing on data, but with some focus on AI agents using their decentralized data repositories, right? And we were focused on AI and SingularityNET, but of course we put data online in blockchain secured containers to fuel our AI. So Ocean and SNet seem sort of complementary from 2018. We've been partners for a long time and talking about how best to collaborate. Humayun Sheikh from Fetch, I got to know, I guess, a bit over a year ago. We were talking about doing various commercial projects together. So we'd been discussing and prototyping various collaborations among the three projects for a while, but then you're always faced with a challenge. Like if we build a joint project, so how do we manage the tokens behind the scene? And Trent and I had talked at one point about making like a multi-dimensional token. There was a basket with one component of ocean, one component of SNet token. So at one point we just decided, like, if we're going to try to join forces and build AI stuff all together, it'll be more convenient if it's just a shared token. Then we don't have to do complex things to figure out, like, when someone pays this amount for a product, how much on the back end goes to ocean, how much goes to SNet, how much goes to fetch. If it's all the same token, it becomes simpler to architect products delivering AI services to customers with a shared back end. So the concept was simple. The smart contracts to merge tokens are not that complex. As we're finding out, managing the whole ecosystem with exchanges and other DeFi third parties
is complex.
Is actually the trickiest part of making the merger happen. Although it's like not really at the base of it. But so we're stepping through all the pieces. I mean, we've got the tokens merged on the back end with token bridges and so forth, and we're working now on putting our tech teams together to create some products that use all three on the back end, looking at doing some things with putting LLMs together with knowledge graphs and logical reasoning, where pieces of this run on Fetch, pieces run SNet, pieces run on Ocean, and there's a shared user interface, which will probably be a sort of improvement of Fetch's agent-verse user interface. So we're doing all that, and right now, what we've done is make an artificial superintelligence token whose ticker symbol is FET, F-E-T, and we're now working with the exchanges and other third parties on ticker symbol conversion to ASI token, which is where it will end up. And that's a little footnote, really, but it'll be nice, sort of in terms of branding, to have there. I saw Matic, which changed name to Polygon, is finally
going back.
Yeah, they're finally converting their token to Poly now, right? After some time.
Ben, that made no sense. Like, everyone knows, Polygon is a top 10 most well-recognized brand in the space. Well, why go to Matic? It made no sense when you're trying to explain to someone, oh, it's Polygon token.
Yeah, I mean,
they
started as Matic, right? They were Matic. Then they changed their name to Polygon, and it just took some time for them to get all the third parties out there to agree to change the token to Poly, right? So I'm pretty sure we can pull it off way faster than they did. It was a long lag before them rebranding as Polygon to changing token to Poly. I think we can pull it off significantly faster than what happened there, just because times are advancing. But there's the crypto ecosystem is very decentralized, and that has pluses and minuses, right? It means corralling a lot of entities to coordinate to do even a very simple thing can have some challenges. Like you've got all these futures contracts with Matic, right? So then if they're going to change to Poly, they've got to stop all of them and then restart them with a new ticker. But who's offering these futures and different forms of DeFi protocols? There's a lot of different parties, right? So I mean, that's
tons of moving parts.
That's its own thing. On the other hand, making superintelligence and AGI a reality is the more important thing. And like
let's talk about this.
We're moving full speed ahead on putting what Fetch is doing, Ocean is doing, and SingularityNET is doing together with key other tools like the OpenCog Hyperon AGI engine and Hypercycle and NewNet, which are ecosystem projects within SingularityNET ecosystem. We're putting all these pieces together, and the aim is to create sort of the next big thing after LLMs, like ChatGPT, and then launch that upon the world, right? And if we can do the next big thing in AI, something way than say GT6, right, and launch that upon the world, and that happens to be launched on the decentralized infrastructure, I mean, then think about it, right? Like, so the kind of impact you saw with ChatGPT and DALL-E and Midjourney and all this, imagine something of that level of impact or more. But hey, it happens to be launched on a decentralized blockchain-based platform, right? So then,
that's what we need.
Then this at once I mean, you're taking the next revolutionary step in AI, which is what I've been working towards for my career, right? So at once you're doing that, but then at the same time, you're creating a vastly more powerful use case for the crypto world than we've seen so far. Because right now, I mean, in the whole crypto world, what do we have? I mean, it's a store of value. It's a financial speculation instrument. There's loads of cool DeFi protocols. There's a few Web3 games, but they don't yet equal the best games in the mainstream gaming world, right? We don't really yet have the kick-ass mainstream use case that we want for the crypto world. So if the next revolution of AI becomes that use case, I mean, that's huge for crypto. It's huge for AI, right? Now we're not ready to launch that yet this year. So what we're looking at is how do we work toward launching the next AI revolution on the ASI infrastructure? And then what things can we launch sooner in the interim that build toward that, both in terms of getting user traction and in terms of the AI technologies involved, right? So this is why we're looking at, with Fetch and Ocean, launching some new tools for putting LLMs and knowledge graphs together, because that's very useful right now. A knowledge graph is like a structured body of knowledge that can fuel AI reasoning, but also help an LLM make fewer stupid mistakes and hallucinate less, ground its inventions better in factual reality, right? So putting LLMs and knowledge graphs together on a decentralized platform, I think it can be a tool set that can get a lot of traction in terms of mainstream Web 2 AI developers as well as Web 3 AI developers. But it also lays the groundwork for the next stage, because our big play toward artificial general intelligence, which is the OpenCog Hyperon system, that uses these same knowledge graphs as its own sort of mind stuff, right? So we're starting with decentralized LLM plus knowledge graph. Then we'll put more and more and more AI into the knowledge graph part until that becomes the next level of AGI mind, right? And
100%.
so that's what we're working on now, and it's being quite fun to work with our partners in ASI Alliance, because Trent and the Ocean guys are so sophisticated on blockchain-based data management, and the Fetch guys are really good at
agents. Yep.
They're really good at accessible end user experience.
Yep.
So the back-end agents are good, but we have back-end agents in Ocean and SNet also. We sort of all have that. What Fetch has been really good at is, like, how do you make it dead simple?
Yes.
For the random application developer
the UI,
who doesn't know
UX.
much about AI,
Bingo.
to like give them a simple template, let them script an agent and put it online. Because the SNet publisher portal is very powerful and flexible. And it's not hard for me, to be honest, but I mean, it's
of course for
me
it would, but yeah,
it's a little involved for many, like Python scripting Web 2 developers who want to get their feet wet in AI agents on Web 3. Fetch has been really good at making things accessible, so we're eager to leverage that expertise on their side on the front end of some of the more sophisticated AI and data stuff we have on the SNet and Ocean side.
Gotcha. I love that. Ben, you're on a roll here. We do need to take a quick break and give a huge shout out to response to the show. And when we get back, we are going to continue to buzz on three main things: agents, AGI, and how blockchain and AI work together. But until then, huge shout out to PrimeXBT, longtime friends and longtime sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love PrimeXBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. PrimeXBT is also running an exclusive promotion for listeners of the Crypto News podcast. Use the promo code CryptoNews50 to take advantage of this offer and receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Now back to the show with Ben. Okay, Ben, and again, you and I could go forever. You've had some incredible sound bites already, but three main topics that we got to touch on before the pod ends. Number one is the relationship between blockchain and AI. We've had a couple incredible guests on the show who have discussed this, and I need, and our listeners need and want and would love to hear your opinion on this as well. We can then move into agents And we also need to talk about AGI as well, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but it also scares the living shit out of me. And I would say that I at least have a decent knowledge of AI. Nothing compared to you. We are not even anywhere close to in the same arena, but I at least understand how it works. Most people don't. They hear about AGI and they're like, fuck me, it's going to take my job. It's going to take my children's jobs. It's going to take all of our jobs. And it could be the thing and the catalyst that ends the world. So I'll let you pick. Where do you want to start with? Give us some goods on one of those three topics, either agents, AGI, or blockchain and crypto.
Yeah, let us start with blockchain, I suppose, because that's sort of a foundational tool. The relation of AI and blockchain certainly goes both ways. I mean, AI has many ways to help blockchains do their thing, and I think cybersecurity is going to be a growing area for this, because when you look at how to make really scalable consensus mechanisms to fuel applications like AI or say decentralized social media, let's say, you face a lot of technical compromises where it's like I can make things faster and cheaper if I'm a little bit more lax on the security aspect or something. And the injection of AI to help with security sort of changes that equation a little bit. So you can make a very fast, cheap consensus mechanism for decentralized social media or communication of AI agents if you can find fraudulent transactions a little bit after the fact rather than having to find them in advance, which is what Visa and MasterCard do, right? They find a certain amount of fraudulent transactions after the fact and roll them back. So that is a way to make consensus really fast and cheap to drive large-scale on-chain applications. But then you need machine learning algorithms to minimize the amount of fraud that gets through, which is why Visa and MasterCard have all these crappy AI fraud detection stuff, right? So you need smarter AI fraud detection integrated across blockchain networks. And then you can, for some purposes, have consensus mechanisms that identify fraud after the fact instead of always drilling it before the fact. And that's one way to get scalability. Now, if you're doing a $1 trillion or $1 million transaction, of course, you're willing to be a little slower and more expensive to be absolutely sure you prevent frauds in advance. But if you're willing to put like a tweet on chain or one AI system answering another one's question on chain, maybe you're okay with a very small percent of fraudulent things going through and use machine learning to minimize that, right? So that's one way that AI can help blockchains do their thing. It can be part of how to make blockchain super fast, super scalable, super cheap. On the other hand, the way blockchain can help AI is a way even more foundational, because it's basically the only existing solution to how do you not have a few large, powerful parties like big governments and big corporations own and control all the AI in the world, right? Which is important economically right now and may become super important as we move to AGI and superintelligence, right? Because if AI in the future is essentially running every software and hardware application on the planet, we don't really want like 2 big governments and 10 big companies to own and control all of it, right? So their blockchain becomes a way that the servers underlying the world's AI are, they're a DePIN network. Different pieces of it are owned by all sorts of different parties, and they can coordinate without a central owner or controller, right? Yeah. And I mean, this was the vision animating SingularityNET, Fetch, and Ocean when all of these projects were founded back in 2017-18 era. Now it's more and more obvious to everyone why this is a useful thing, right? I mean, back then, some of us saw why it was a critical thing. And I mean, I saw it before that. I started trying to build decentralized AI networks, bring together strong encryption and distributed processing in like 2001. And we just found the infrastructure wasn't there to do it. The software was too slow. So the idea has been there a while. Now everyone can see why it's helpful. And this, I think, brings us to the third point you mentioned, which was, the future of AGI and what does it mean for all of us, right? I mean, because I think we are on near inevitable path to having machines much smarter than human beings.
And Ben, could you just give a quick primer on AGI, and I'll just sort of start. But artificial general intelligence, it's a bit of a nuanced term right now, but the experts like yourself, like Ben, folks say the AGI is attained once the AI is sentient in some capacity, or whatever your definition is.
Yeah. So there is no broadly a precise definition of what is general intelligence, be it in natural or artificial systems. And so debate over how intelligent dolphins or whales are remains. Some people think the Earth's ecosystem as a whole, Gaia, the eco-mind, is a kind of general intelligence, right? Is society a general intelligence? I mean, arguably, it's the community of...
Are we in a simulation?
Well, yeah, but it's the community of scientists and engineers which is making all these inventions, not any one individual, right? And IQ test for humans doesn't hold up cross-culturally very, very well, right? The IQ test is very visual focused. I often thought if you used sound and rhythm instead of little pictures, Africans would come out having a way higher IQ than everyone else, because just music is so ingrained in their upbringing and culture. So then when you get to what are effectively new species like artificially intelligent systems, I mean, we don't have an agreed on way to assess what is a general intelligence. I think the core concept is clear. General intelligence has to do with the ability to sort of solve hard problems, achieve complex goals in a variety of different environments and contexts, including those you weren't exposed to before, right? So you want to be able to take what you learned in a certain class of environments and in regard to a certain class of problems, and you want to be able to take a leap and generalize your prior knowledge and experience to a whole different set of environments and a whole different set of problems, right? And so that's, conceptually, it's clear what that means. You can formulate that on a math level, which AGI theorists have done, but boiling that down to very precise criteria is hard, because different people will sort of prioritize different kinds of generalization more than others. And humans are quite limited in our general intelligence, really, relative to what you can imagine would be possible. So I mean, like, I can't run a maze in 750 dimensions very well, but I can do it in 2 and 3 dimensions. Why can't I generalize that, right? I mean, we're very bad at what in some ways would seem very simple forms of generalization. And when we start trying to do math or science, we're confronted with how very stupid we are, right? And we design machines by analogy to things in our bodies and in our individual human lives, but the vast majority of possible machines we're too dumb to even think of, right? So we're not that generally intelligent, but yet, compared to a dog or an ape or ChatGPT, we are capable of amazing feats of generalization, right? Like we're able to come up with new theories of physics that we didn't imagine before. And as I've said before, in terms of AI for music, which is something I've played with a lot myself because I'm a sort of spare time musician, I love what deep neural nets can do with music now. It's incredible. On the other hand, if you took a current music model and you trained it on music up to the year 1900 only, that model will never invent like grindcore, neoclassical, metal, psytrance, progressive jazz. It will only be able to vary on music that existed up to 1900. If you ask it to put West African rhythm together with Western classical music, it will set Mozart to a West African polyrhythm, but it won't even get to Duke Ellington, like let alone Jimi Hendrix or Buckethead or Schmongel or something, right? So I mean,
that's wild.
So on the one hand, it's amazing what we can do with AI now. On the other hand, the way humans kept inventing new genres of music, like that's the kind of general intelligence. It's a kind of leaps of imagination beyond your past history that current AI just can't do. And you can see the same in science, where like ChatGPT cannot make an original science paper. It can help you to make one by helping you find information. it can write some bullshit that will look like a science paper to a non-scientist, but
Ben,
it can't
how
really.
many years away until it can do that? You know,
That's
and again, my apologies for the cop-out question. It's the one everyone asks, but it's the one everyone wants to know. How far away?
Well, so it's an interesting question, because answering how far away always has to do with a mix of understanding the technology and second guessing levels of funding and focus on a certain problem, right? Because I mean, I think that there's like electric cars are an example. They could have been done a long time before they were. It's just because Elon Musk happened to focus resources and attention on it at a certain point, then it took off, right? And if that one guy hadn't popped up, it might have been 10 years later before they became a big thing. If someone like him had popped up 10 years earlier, we might have had electric cars all over the streets a long time before. So in that case, progress of technology was one thing, but just focus of funding and attention was another thing. And I think that's true with AGI as well. Like I think we could be 2 or 3 years off from getting human level AGI. We could be 10 years off from getting human level AGI. I don't think we're 50 years off or something, but whether it's like 3 years or 10 years, to me, depends on focus of money and focus of expert human attention on the problem, right? So the head of AI at Facebook, Jan LeCun, said, on the road to AGI, LLMs are an off-ramp, which I think is too strong.
Wow.
But I see what he's getting at, right? Because everyone's focused on like fine-tuning and improving these very, very cool systems that yet are not really AGI. And that means not that many researchers are pounding on other ways to really make AGI, right? On the other hand, the more highly lucrative applications are built using LLMs, like the more money goes into the AI field generally, including a diversity of AGI approaches, right? So what I think you need to do to get to AGI is, I mean, there's going to be a lot of routes to get AGI, not just one route, right? But what I see as the shortest path to get to AGI is you take LLMs with all their ability to integrate data and synthesize constructs based on that. You take logical reasoning engines, which are being used now to prove math theorems and carry out and synthesize circuits, but they're very good at multi-step logical reasoning. You take logical reasoning engines, you take evolutionary learning systems that simulate evolution by natural selection, which are very good at coming up with wild, new, creative things. You integrate them together within a cognitive architecture that controls agents to do things like control an avatar, control someone's digital twin, control a robot, right? So if you take LLMs, logic reasoning engines, evolutionary learning, you wrap them behind an agent architecture, controlling an agent with a goal and a purpose, right? I mean, I think this sort of hybrid cross-paradigm AGI system is probably the shortest path to get to human-level AGI. It's certainly not the only path. Like someone can build a high-fidelity brain simulation and get there, right? It just seems we don't know quite enough about the brain to do that well yet. So how fast will we progress at that? I mean, it partly depends on how much server resource and how much human resource goes into it, right? So I mean, if Bitcoin hits 100K soon, that will help, right? Because then ASI Alliance and other decentralized AI projects will just be able to pull more and more people. We'll have tokens to incentivize more and more community members to contribute. And this sort of decentralized cross-paradigm AGI agent will come about faster, right? I mean, we're doing it anyway, though. I mean, we've got amazing AI teams, and we're using tokens to incentivize the broader community to contribute via deep funding and other like SingularityNET community AI funding programs. So I mean, we're progressing anyway, but to some extent, whether it's like 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, just depends on servers.
It's not an if, it's a when.
Yeah, because between Fetch and SingularityNet, we're putting together some supercomputers, right? And these are going to be the hubs of decentralized AI processing networks. So some kinds of AI you can do really well on a broadly decentralized network, just of random people's laptops and phones even, right? some kinds of AI processing right now, such as training an LLM, for example, you need a supercomputer for. We just don't have the computer science to do it on a decentralized network. So we need, I mean, you can have your supercomputer running on the decentralized network. You can have a decentralized network of supercomputers. But in terms of processing like NewNet is doing, where you're using random people's laptops and phones, pulling them together into compute network. Like we can do logical reasoning or evolutionary learning on those, but we can't do LLMs on there yet. We can do LLM inference also, like asking the LLM questions. But training the LLM, we need a supercomputer. So we're putting together some supercomputers between Fetch and SNet, but then, and we're partnering with others. Like we're talking to a project called Kudos about doing something together. They've got their own server farms, but even so, initially we're talking about something like 100 million USD, 150 million USD of centralized servers together with this big decentralized network. It's good. Now, to train a GPT-4 scale model, you need more than that, right? In the straightforward way to do it. In the straightforward way to do it, you need like, I don't know, $250 million to $500 million of servers just dedicated to that, and not even the rest of your AGI system. So on the one hand, we're doing R&D aimed at bringing that way down. Like the more we push into logic engines and evolutionary learning engines, the more we can put out on a decentralized network. And we're talking to a guy named Alex Orobia out of RIT University in New York State. He has different ways of training neural networks that may let you train large language models on a decentralized network also, right? So there's research directions that will decrease the need for large hardware. On the other hand, there's no doubt, the more funds we get to add some supercomputers to our decentralized network, the faster we can go, right? So I think decentralization does help a lot in terms of working around the big tech hegemony, because it gives you an alternative to having billions of dollars to build server farms. Nevertheless, adding more supercomputers to the decentralized network will let you go faster, right? And there we're up against the fact like we are not $1 trillion market cap yet, whereas
you can't go against the Metas.
Well,
and
we
the
can,
NVIDIAs.
and we are, and they went against IBM and Honeywell and DEC of the 70s, right? And so
it's a good point.
We can go against them, and just like suddenly Google's search hegemony doesn't seem so unbreakable anymore. So I think we can and will go against them, and decentralization ultimately is powerful. Like the world as a whole has more compute resources than any big tech company, right? So
they just have such a stranglehold on all the
we can defeat them. The thing is, the more resources we have, the faster we can defeat them, right?
Yes.
But we can defeat them with smarter technology, just like they defeated mainframe companies and IBM with smarter technology, right? Because I think we know at the R&D level, we know how to make LLMs trainable across decentralized networks. And we had some great talks on that at the AGI research conference last week in Seattle, right? So we know how to do that. It's at a university research stage, and then it just takes a few years to transition something from the university research stage to the scalable deployment stage. But at that same time, big tech is moving as fast as they can, leveraging their advantages in terms of money, compute resources, and data, right? So I think we already have the seeds for how to defeat them, and we're working on it with brilliant people and an okay amount of resources, right? I can't complain. On the other hand, it's just your competitors are multi-trillion-dollar companies, right? So any one of these big tech companies is bigger than Bitcoin. So we need to do all we can, both to leverage the resources we have and the superior AI designs and tech understanding we have, as well as just to grow the crypto ecosystem as big as we can. Because crypto ecosystem should be $10 trillion. It should be $100 trillion. There's no reason it can't be, right? And there's some feedback here, right? Because the smarter AI we can roll out on a crypto basis, like the bigger the crypto ecosystem will grow,
Exactly.
which then increases token value, brings in more money to put even smarter AI on the crypto basis, right? So I think over the next few years, it may well be AI supplanting DeFi as the main engine of economic growth within the crypto world. Of course, DeFi will still be there. It should be there. And we're doing that within SingularityNET ecosystem with the Singularity DAO project. Ocean is doing it with a predictor product for crowdforced crypto price prediction, right? I mean, DeFi should still be an important engine. But once we have AI as like a Web 2 plus Web 3 broad-based use case for blockchain networks, I mean, this can take things to a different level. And it can suck Web 2 developers into Web 3, right? Because once people see, well, I can put AI behind my app and I can do it more expensively or more cheaply, people will think, well, okay, maybe I don't want to run all this on Azure or AWS after all, right? Maybe I want to run it on some decentralized backend so I can get half the cost for more intelligence behind my AI agents.
No, it's totally feel you. Ben, what an episode. You were on fire, and I know we barely scratched the surface. Before we let you go, and we got to have you on for round 2 here because this was too much fun, but before we let you go, any updates in regards to Singularity, ASI, any news that you can let us know about over the next couple of days, weeks, months? And mind you, this episode is going to air on Monday, the 27th of August.
Well, I don't have any amazing news items in mind. I would just say, watch closely, follow SingularityNET, follow ASI Alliance, and we've got a lot of amazing stuff queued up for this fall. So we're working closely with Fetch and Ocean on integrated platforms for putting LLMs, knowledge graphs, and reasoning together. And we're also seriously looking at how to expand the ASI Alliance further, because the idea from the beginning,
I like that.
The idea from the beginning wasn't just to merge 3 projects together. The idea was there's too many little utility tokens out there with overlapping business models and utilities. And to the extent that we can merge not only 3, but more and more projects together into one, integrated, synergetic, decentralized infrastructure for AI, I think that can help us better take on big tech. Like if we integrate more and more projects into ASI Alliance, it doesn't make us immediately as big as Microsoft or Amazon or Google or OpenAI even, right? But it gives us more and more both intellectual, engineering, and economic firepower. So I would just say we're looking at the best path for progressively expanding the ASI Alliance, right? Both economically and in terms of potentially bringing other projects in.
Gotcha. I love it. Ben, what an episode. Really appreciate you coming on. Before you go, can you please let our listeners know, and again, we're going to plug everything, but can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally, Singularity, ASI, online and on socials? And again, I'll plug everything just in case, but you gotta throw a couple plugs before you leave.
Yeah, well, take a look at SingularityNET.io, then Superintelligence.io, and as well, my personal website is Goertzel.org, and these sites should give you pointers into loads of other exciting places to keep you abreast of the emerging intersection of AI and crypto, which is, I think, going to be literally the most exciting development on our planet over the next few years.
Fun times ahead. Folks, what an episode with Ben Goertzel, CEO of SingularityNET, and of course, part of the one and only ASI, Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. Huge shout out to Ben and the team for making this happen. He was on fire, dropping knowledge bombs left, right, and center. We discussed everything in and about the relationship between AI and blockchain, the future of AI, AGI, agents, you name it, use cases, the product lifecycle, how it can make our lives easier, some fraud detection. little bit of everything. Again, huge shout out to Ben and the team. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did. Please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. Eustace, you're the man as always. And back to the listeners, love you guys. Keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Enjoy the last couple of weeks of summer. Love you guys. See you on the next one. Ciao.